In my Grad Grad today, I want to focus on two traits, open to growth and loving. In reflecting on my time at Canisius as a part of this process, I can honestly say that I've changed so incredibly since I first walked through those blue doors as a nervous freshman. It has been an incredible ride, but my focus for this talk is about an area that I'm still lacking, right at the intersection of these two traits. When I entered those blue doors for the first time, I was nervous. For my middle school years, I had been homeschooled with my twin sister. These years proved to be almost a bubble of comfort. I was not exposed to new people often. I wasn't interested in making new friends. I thought I had my life all figured out, but I had no idea how much I would learn, particularly about friendship. Friendship is not something you learn in school, but if you haven't learned the meaning of friendship, you haven't learned anything at all. Muhammad Ali. I entered Canisius with a similar mindset. My only focus was to do as well as I could in my classes. I could have cared less about the new faces around me. For the first few weeks, I sat alone at lunch. I would study while I ate, and then head back to class. Eventually, I found a spot at a table with some other guys. I thought everything was going well, but in reality, it wasn't. I still hadn't changed. Now, I was no longer alone, but I still didn't put effort into these new relationships. I was still the same old me. A few months later, I was given a piece of advice that should have changed this, but I still wasn't ready, I suppose. One day, on the way to practice, I was talking to a senior. He told me that his biggest regret from his time at Canisius was not seeking out new friendships and experiences during his freshman and sophomore years. He was so focused on school and rowing that he didn't take time to appreciate the people around him. Still, I thought nothing of it until the year ended and nothing much had changed. I still hadn't really formed any true friendships. I was even so focused on myself and my work that my relationship with my family, parents, brothers, and sister became a bit strained. Sophomore year continued in much the same way. My priorities stayed very similar, aside from an increasing interest in rowing. My friendships still languished, due not to the people I had chosen to connect to, but to my own lack of understanding and effort. Yet, at the same time, I began to feel more and more as if there was a missing part in my life. With the cajoling of friends, I began to peek out of my self-obsessed shell. However, the first shift was not to come until the beginning of my junior year. In a rare moment of good judgment, I decided to sign up for the first Kairos of my junior year. Not having gone on Emmaus, I wanted to take advantage of this opportunity. A friend is someone who gives you total freedom to be yourself. Jim Morrison. Looking back at my reflections, I saw a boy who was still so insecure and unable to be fully open with others, yet regretted not being able to build these relationships. Talking in my small group is what really changed things for me. I tried to be as open as I could about where I saw myself and my faults. It was one of the most powerful experiences in my life. I truly felt able to let people into my life and struggles. Reading letters from my Kairos, I still tear up. Never before had I really thought that people cared enough to write me and tell me what our relationship meant to them. After this, I realized that something within me had to change. Up to this point, I'd been a taker. I'd only thought of my own issues and struggles, when in reality there were so many people who I could share my life and love with. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. Alan Watts. This quote reminds me of a story Father Betty told on my Kairos. A professor went before his class with a jar. First, he filled the jar with ping pong balls, explaining that those represent the major things in our lives: work, school, family. Next, he poured rice into the remaining space. This represented the little things in our lives: getting stuck in traffic, getting groceries, and household chores. Finally, he poured coffee into the jar, entirely filling it. Then he explained that this is an analogy for our lives. The ping pong balls are placed first to mark out priorities. If the rice was placed first, it would take up all the space. So, he said, we must focus in on those ping pong balls and fill in the rice around it. As the lecture concluded, a student asked what the coffee represented. Humorously, the professor responded that it showed that no matter how full our jar of life is, we still have time to have a cup of coffee with a friend. This example clicked for me. I realized that my own cup had been full of ping pong balls and rice, but I still needed to leave time for a metaphorical cup of coffee. No matter what is going on in our lives, we can still enjoy time with those that we love. Looking back, I can see this as a turning point. For me, it was to live the fourth and be more willing to love those around me. What is love? To define such an enigmatic, yet palpable experience and feeling is so difficult. But the way I like to describe it is as an unconditional relationship. Such a relationship is not based on what the person provides for you, but in complete acceptance of who they are, both their strengths and faults. This has been by no means an easy task. It is inherently human to pass judgment on other people, both good and bad, yet in order to truly love, I must try to move past this. Following this experience, I've tried to implement this into my own life, to take a moment to stop and give someone my time, to wait and listen to what someone else may be struggling with in their life, and more than anything, to simply appreciate the people around me for who they truly are, despite their faults, and even myself, although I certainly have many. In my time at Canisius, I've had the privilege to make incredible friends in the classroom, in the halls, and even in the endless hours paddling up and down the Buffalo River. From my experience, I can truly agree that Canisius is a brotherhood. I could never have imagined the people I've come to meet in these past 4 years. So many wonderful people with amazing gifts and talents. It has been even more of a privilege to become friends with some. I've had the chance to rethink my relationships with my family. As I slowly but surely approach college, I have come to treasure the time spent with my twin sister, younger brothers, and parents, although at times we may not always get along. If you light a lamp for somebody, it will also brighten your path. Siddhartha Gautama. The incredible people who create this community have taught me so much and brought so much to my life. And so, looking to the future, I hope to remain a man for others in the spirit of this community. A man who is open and accepting of those around him, friends, family, and even strangers. Although I certainly have a long way to go, this is a gift and challenge that Canisius has given me. Go forth and set the world on fire. St. Ignatius of Loyola. Thank you.